Funny story is when I applied to work for the flood control district, I thought, flood control, Fresno, it doesn't flood here. Why is there a district for it? It wasn't until I started working for the district that I learned all the facilities that have been built over the years to protect the community. So now when people ask me, flood control district, it doesn't flood in Fresno, I tell them, yes, that's exactly right.
I don't think many people are aware of the historic flooding in Fresno. It's definitely a foreign subject unless you lived in Fresno in the 1950s or perhaps are in the building industry.
Since the district was formed in the 50s, a lot of infrastructure has been built and that has alleviated the flooding, and people just aren't aware of what occurred before that time.
Yeah, without the flood control district, there'd be a lot more flooded properties, flooded homes, flooded businesses. There would be more people paying flood insurance premiums. There'd be a lot less groundwater recharge activity going on in the area.
So before the district was formed, there's a lot of video footage and pictures of businesses underwater, sewage in the streets, roads impassable.
Devastation in communities, livestock, agriculture, our farms would be destroyed, and definitely a lot of stressors that come in with the rains instead of what it is now that we enjoy and appreciate when we actually get rain. Flood control basically is building facilities that help control flooding before it damages any of our communities, any of our housing.
So the flood control system is comprised of facilities like reservoirs, detention basins, channels.
The watershed goes all the way up to the top of the 4-lane, 4,500 foot at elevation, and those series of features protects the area from those rural flows. The rainfall totals in this area have gone up from 9.5 inches annual to around 11.5 inches now, just in the last 30 years. So the rainfall increase has been adjusted for in our systems. As we design newer systems, we adjust for that rainfall to help protect the community. When the district was formed in the 50s, we covered an area of about 54 square miles. That area relied on a series of sewer connections, canal connections, and dry wells, which is not really efficient for storm drainage service. So when we came in, we built modern storm drainage systems with ponding basins, pipelines. So the district currently covers 400 square miles, has 153 of the large ponding basins, over 700 miles of pipeline, has 3 dams and 7 detention basins.
Basins range in size from 6 to 40 acres and serve upstream areas of 1 to 4 square miles that accounts for nearly 8,700 acres of land.
So in the early 50s, a citizens group plus some local government officials got together and said they needed to get some sort of flood control system for the area. This led to a legislative act in 1955 that formed the district, but still required a vote of the citizens. So in 1956, the citizens voted at a 5-to-1 ratio to form the Fresno Metropolitan Flood Control District.
The board of directors is comprised of 7 board members that are appointed by the city of Fresno, the city of Clovis, and the county of Fresno. They are all on a 4-year term and have to live within the district boundaries. We're very fortunate that the appointed board of directors that we currently have is very passionate about the district and what we do. Careful stewardship of public funds is a guiding principle.
Prior to the creation of the district in the 50s, there was no plan for a community urban storm drainage system. Once the flood control district was created, the needs of the area were studied and urban storm drainage master plan was created. There's several features to our system that are pretty standard, how you size a reservoir, how you size a pipeline system. But there's also really unique features about our system, like our widespread use of urban stormwater basins. You just don't find many systems in the country that use urban stormwater basins like we do. These basins allow us to capture stormwater and recharge it back to the groundwater aquifer. There's areas all throughout the state that are trying to figure out ways of how to capture stormwater. Well, we've been doing it for decades. Development has very little effect on flooding in the urban area. Our master plan is designed to provide the same level of service throughout the community. So whether you're in Northeast Clovis or Southwest Fresno, you have the same level of service.
The district has a responsibility to educate the community about stormwater pollution prevention. We provide the outreach to the general public, schools, and businesses about simple ways that they can make an impact.
We do everything from having booths at local shows like the Home Show. We provide stormwater related grants to youth groups, and they do things like take trips to the San Joaquin River. And we also have a big multimedia campaign, the most current one being these banners you see on our basin fences.
So along with our Clean Water Act partners, the City of Fresno, City of Clovis, County of Fresno, and Fresno State, we strive to reduce the pollutants that get into the stormwater. pollution is a concern because any pollutant that lands on the ground can get to our basins through the series of pipelines. The district tries to do with the Clean Water Act is we try to make sure people put pesticides on in the proper ratio, don't put them on before it rains, make sure people don't do illicit discharges in the gutters, and make sure industry takes care of their stormwater runoff properly.
To keep basins functioning well, they're cleaned on a schedule of about every 5 years. The cleaning requires the basins to be drained and dried out first. Then a thin layer of soil is removed to keep the sediment from slowing the absorption of water through the soil and to keep the accumulated pollutants that wash off the streets from reaching unsafe concentrations. Money to pay for maintenance, construction, and administration of district work mainly comes from a small share of property taxes assessed on lands within the district.
We have a assessment tax benefit that we started in the 1980s to help fund the Rural Streams program, help fund the environmental program. The drainage systems themselves, all the pipelines, the basins, are funded by developer fees. So when a development comes in, they pay a drainage fee to help fund the system.
Our flood control system has saved a lot of people a lot of money. Over the years, our flood control system has eliminated many federally designated flood zones. The elimination of these flood zones has allowed them to forego lender-mandated flood insurance, which has saved them money on premiums.
Besides flood control, another benefit of storm drainage and stored water is recharging the groundwater.
Groundwater recharge is the downward movement of water from the surface down to the groundwater aquifer. If you extract more water than you put back in, your groundwater level is going to decline. For decades, this area has had a declining groundwater level. Well, groundwater recharge is a great way to combat that.
So it's important to replenish the groundwater table because this area, the agriculture and the city relies on wells that pulls the water out of the aquifer. It percolates in and we actually retain around 85% of the water that falls on the ground in this area.
District basins recharge an average of over 45,000 acre-feet of water per year. Groundwater recharge affects everyone whether they know it or not. Groundwater is a major source of water for this area. A declining groundwater level can have major consequences to any area. Things like wells running dry and subsidence are a few of the results that could happen. Both of them are costly to repair.
Basins are not only used for stormwater capture and groundwater recharge. The district is allowed to develop some of the public lands for recreational use where it's practical.
We have over 20 sites that are used for recreation. Some are year-round, and then some are seasonal based on when the water's stored in the basin.
A handful of sites offer year-round recreation, including the award-winning Oso de Oro Lake Park and its sister site, Trolley Creek Park.
Many basins are landscaped and open to the public. This provides much-needed green space to the community, as well as an aesthetic appeal. Baseball, softball, and soccer are common sporting activities. Also, many basins are equipped with pavilions, barbecues, picnic tables, and play equipment.
So this approach to using the basins for dual use with parks adds over 250 acres to the area in park space, and this area is very limited in park space as it is. So the district serves over 700,000 people. It protects them from floodwaters. It uses that precious resource to replenish the groundwater and also provides recreation for the people.
When you drive past stormwater basins, listen to rainfall without concern about how it'll affect your home, your property values, your commute, or your safety. Or when you see the small FMFCD assessment on your property tax bill, you will know what you're seeing and why it's important to the place that we call home.